in 12 years from 40, not only broke, but seriously negative net worth, to retired at 52. That's what this video is going to be about. I took a poll on which video topics you would like to see, and that's the topic that won out. The other choices were hardest thing to deal with in early retirement, or would you like to see me overshare for 30 minutes? And to be fully transparent, just before recording this video, I was on Matt the Lumberjack Landlord's live stream for the last couple of hours, drinking a lot of the water that makes my eyes water. So you're going to get two of the topics from the poll this morning. I'm going to cover the chronology of being absolutely broke at 40 and then retiring at 52. And what did that look like? Because this is not a strategy video. I have a lot of videos on strategy, on how I reached financial freedom, on how the cash flow changed, what that looked like. But this is going to be a video on mind and mental shifts that happened that made me go from how did I end up broke at 40? Right? Was that the plan? To why was I able to retire in 12 years? And again, I apologize for the oversharing. But every now and then we need to make a video based on some emotions and not facts and data and statistics. That can get you sued. Make that video next week. How did I make it to 40 and end up broke? I had a misconception, words are hard, on what it was to be an adult. I'll say be a man, but I don't want to sound like a sexist. I was from the generation where you were told you need to grow up and be a man. And I was in the generation where my dad left when I was 8. I lived in California. He took my oldest brother, who was 17 at the time. So I was 8, and I lost my brother, who was 17, and my dad disappeared, moved to Ohio for the other family. And I remember working in the onion fields with my mom, basically at 8 years old, making 50 cents a bag that I could fill. And my best day, I made $16. I don't know what my mom made, probably in the $30 or $40 range per day. And her hands being covered in blisters, and me not even having the weight to use the shears to cut the onions to put in the bag, having to bounce on it with my legs, and being the little Caucasian kid working with the Latino kids where I was the enemy and got beat up a lot until we finally became friends because I was the outsider taking their job. Remembering with this like tenacity that I don't want to grow up and be my dad. And so my perception as a kid was that a dad protects and provides. Can't protect or provide if you're not there. Which is why I fought for custody in my divorces so hard and became a single dad, because I've always been good at keeping my properties or keeping my kids. Never been good at keeping a woman around, which is a whole nother video, which takes a lot more of that water to make me overshare for that. So that perception that starts at 8 of I want to be able to protect and provide meant that as I grew up and I became a Marine and worked in law enforcement, that I had this protector provider mindset. And so like a lot of people do, men and women, I didn't think of finances. And so I handed finances to the spouse. And I thought, I'm going to let you handle this. This is your job. I'm the protector, provider. I'll be the worker. I'll bring in the income, but managing it and taking care of it, that's a you thing. And so of the long list of reasons why my first wife probably left, one of them was she didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. Welcome to the Marine Corps. If you were supposed to have a wife, the Marine Corps would have issued it in boot camp. Long list of reasons, wasn't the only one. One of my other marriages, one of the reasons why it didn't work out is because, and I don't know that I've shared this before in a video. Like I said, this is an overshare based on the amount of today's sponsor of today's video, which is they don't actually sponsor the videos, they just make them possible, Alien Vodka. I found out about bad debt in my name that I didn't know existed twice. The first time I went to buy a house, this was around 2000. I was around 30. Went to buy a house. Had never run my credit before. This was not a thing. We didn't have Credit Karma. You had to have a credit report agency pulling thing. You had to go and pay for it, and we couldn't just go online and print it out. At least I didn't know how. And so when we went to a lender and pulled our credit to try to buy a house, I found out about a bunch of bad debt that was my ex-wife's, but a friend, all of the bills were going to a friend's house. And so she took the blame. She literally said to me, and the creditors were complicit, told me, "You've had identity theft. All of these bills actually belong to this person, and they're going to take care of it." Which meant my ex made an agreement to pay this back as long as they lied to me and said that it was my friends, our friends, mutual friends issue. And like a fool, I allowed my spouse to continue to manage the money. So if you're in that situation, you need to at least be aware of what's going on. And then flash forward to the divorce, ex files bankruptcy. All of the debt that was our debt became my debt because it was actually in my name, didn't know it existed. And so at the age of 40, I was a single parent with 3 kids and found out about $313,000 in bad debt in my name that I didn't know existed for the second time. I should have titled this video, "I am a moron," because it's fitting. So at the age of 40, I've talked in other videos about wanting to create my own pension because the Marine Corps downsized after Desert Storm and law enforcement downsized after 2008, the housing crash. And so with my pensions being taken away, I needed to create my own pension. And this is the thing that I think will create any kind of controversy or probably cause some people to just, block my channel and unsubscribe because people don't like opinions that don't match their own. This was the first time as a human, not just as an adult, but as a human, that I ever had my own bedroom, right? 13 siblings, moved into houses that we didn't own or rent, fixed up the doors and windows and waited for the owners to find us. And then we'd move to the next one. Not squatters, because we didn't stay and make them evict us. At least that's what my parents said. So at 40, having had relationships right out of high school, marriages, this was the first time that I think as a single person, so single was my superpower, that I thought, I have control of my finances. Not only do I have control, but given an outcome of possible separation or divorce in the future, I'm going to keep the assets that I acquire at this point in life. So when I was 40, and like a lot of people do, you realize we think we have 2 financial lives, but you really only have one. And the second one starts when you realize that you only have one and that you need to be in charge of your finances. What are you willing to do to reach financial freedom, to make work optional, to not be broke? So I don't think I was poor. Poor is when things are outside of your control and you can't make more money. You have a learning disability, you have a health concern, you are born in a country that doesn't allow for you to advance, countries with social status. Where I was born, I didn't have the health concern. I had the mental, I call it a disease, but the need for companionship, to be in a relationship. That was my biggest weakness. But when I decided to not have that and to focus on my own finances for once, the mental shift was the biggest, hardest hurdle to get over. Generally, if you're a Gen Xer, we're raised by a generation who's, at least their parents that raised us, had pensions. So we were trained that longevity, working for a company, is how you get rewarded. And I kept getting laid off. Things outside of my control, recessions and foreign conflicts, things I can't absolutely control, changed my career trajectory. So I thought, what can I do? And if I was in my 20s or 30s and I can invest in stocks and let compound interest happen over 30 or 40 years, yeah, by the time I hit retirement age, I'd probably have enough to survive with my so-so security. But I was 40. Single parent, 3 kids. After getting laid off from law enforcement, I found a job with a company where I pretty much doubled my income, but then they went on strike. So even that source of income got taken away. That other pension option got taken away. And I started teaching people how to drive trucks at a CDL school, and I was making $17 an hour. So I had a really bad debt to income ratio, not a lot of income, bad debt to take care of, and I was raising 3 kids. I used to tell everybody, pretty much everyone that I interacted with when finances came up, I'm the guy that's going to work until he dies. And then when I started to get my finances figured out, I would actually say, I'm probably going to never retire early. I'm probably not even going to retire late because I liked my job. So what happened where I went from 40 being broke, which is a temporary state? Poor seems permanent, broke is temporary. I found out about the debt. I had a career change. I had the kids, to 12 years later being able to retire. How it happened was I came up with a 10-year plan. I didn't do anything thinking I could make 1 or 2 big adjustments. I go rob a bank or win the lottery. It wasn't anything like that. Because with the robbing the bank thing, while prison is the ultimate house hack, it is not my chosen form of retirement. My goal was, in 10 years, what can I do to make it so that when I hit retirement age, I won't do the worst thing I think a parent can do for their kids. I say things like, my dad left when I was 8. And yes, I've interacted with him since then. Love you, still miss you. But leaving was not the worst thing he could have done. The worst thing a parent can do for their kids is to become a financial burden to their kids when the parent becomes too old to work and provide for themselves. So while a lot of people want to focus on creating generational wealth and giving kids they never had when they were growing up, that's not my goal. My goal was to create a retirement or an old age situation when I can't work anymore that doesn't make me become a financial burden to my kids. So the plan was, if in 10 years I could do something, some type of investment, because I'm not an entrepreneur and growing a business is not an option. I've tried it a couple of times and fell flat on my face both times. Had more luck with bad marriages than I've had with bad companies. But I thought if I could make an investment over the next decade, my retirement, mine wasn't even the plan. It was just to not become a burden to my kids. So if you're thinking of reaching financial freedom or investing to create generational wealth, hopefully you're thinking that the best thing you can do for your kids is to not become a financial burden to them when you're too old to work anymore. So I thought, if I could buy a house every couple of years, so this isn't going out and buying 5 or 10 rentals in a year, cashing out retirement accounts, or getting into syndication or REITs and trying to have as many big a unit count as possible. I thought if I could buy a rental every couple of years, in 10 years, I'd have five rentals making some money, would make my retirement better. That was the mental shift of going, I'm going to let somebody else handle my finances. I'm going to work for a company and make a pension where, if this is your mindset, the only way that you have of making money is selling your life 1 hour at a time. What are you going to do when they stop buying? When they lay you off because of AI taking over coding, or we have a recession like 2008. And everyone knows that when there's a recession, there's no more crime, so we can let our cops go. Something can change outside of your control that can take that source of income away. With rentals, I didn't even want to make a lot of money with them. When I started, I didn't understand cash flow or yield. I did a lot of mistakes. I had to educate myself later. But here's what a decade did, because it wasn't as simple as, if I buy one every 2 years, in 10 years, I'm going to have 5. I took it one step further without getting into the strategy of how I acquired my rentals, the ones I chose to help limit tenant turnover, to make sure I was diversified in 2 different ways, to, make sure that my retirement was as secure as I can make it. The next step was, if I buy a property every 2 years, so I'm going to buy one in 2 years, and then I'm going to buy one in 2 years. And I would get to 5 in 10 years. I actually hit 8 in 8 years and retired at 12. So it was a little sped up because of the income snowball. Cash starts coming in faster than what you're making it, than what you're expecting. Because at 4 years, when I bought the next one, right, it was 2 years and then 2 years, I was on track to do my plan. The first rental I had now owned for 2 years when I bought that next one. So let's not look at my specific situation, and let's say I did it as slow as my original plan, one every 2 years. When you get to 10 years, that means that at 10 years, you will have had a rental for 8 years of appreciation. 8 years of principal pay down, 8 years of rent increases. The second rental that you acquired at 4 years, that I picked up at 4 years, at the 10-year mark, you will have 6 years of appreciation, 6 years of principal pay down, 6 years of rent increases. Do you see the compound interest effect of owning assets for that decade? This is how I went from broke at 40 to retired at 52. Now, at the 8-year mark, I had enough properties to retire and enough cash flows to retire, but I love my job. I worked for another 4 years, and I honestly think I probably would have worked into my 60s if I didn't make this one video. And I will link it in the comments below at the end of this video. But at the beginning of 2022, I did a video and I said, I want to explain what my cash flow looks like. And I broke it down because I like to look at things from different angles. I broke it down with the cash flow from my rentals after 12 years of investing. How much am I making if I did this every hour of every day? And how much am I making if I looked at this as a 40-hour job? Now, it takes me 2 hours a month to manage my rentals. So I haven't even done the math on that. I should do the math on what I'm making at my 2 hours. That video is coming soon. I'll whiteboard it. But it was something like $80 an hour if I had a 40-hour work week and $19 an hour if it was 24 hours a day. And I sat down after that video. I finished doing a live stream on the whiteboard and I was thinking, okay, it's Sunday night. It's like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I'm doing this video because I just finished work. And I have that much money coming in that I don't even have to really get out of bed for. I felt silly going to work. What things are going on in your life that are making you choose to be broke? Is it letting somebody else manage your money, whether that's your spouse or a financial advisor that maybe doesn't even have your best interest at heart or your goals in mind, because our goals can shift? Are you thinking too short term? Are you looking long term to think of what your retirement is going to be like? And then, are you thinking of all the ways that your investing can compound over a decade to completely change your life? The reason I wanted to overshare in this video is because I wanted you to understand that, yeah, in a perfect world, we can whiteboard it and we can sketch it out of how easy it is to reach financial freedom. But in this video, I wanted to add in all the messiness that happens when you have kids, when you have relationships, when you have personal character flaws that make your relationships not last long. If it's possible for what I wanted the title of this video to be, I am a moron, it's absolutely possible for you. Thank you for coming to this live stream. I promise the future ones won't have any emotion in them like this because it's not my kind of person I am. If you're one of the members on my channel, I'm jumping off to get into the members only live stream, which was supposed to start 2 minutes ago. I will see you there if you're a member. During the members only live streams, what we do is we all jump on Zoom together and we look at deals, my deals and your deals, and we see which ones to pursue and what it is like to look at deals. I hope your 2024 is a year full of amazing. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.